Why I believe that Jerome Powell is a criminal. First, let's start. Who's Jerome Powell? Jerome Powell is the head of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve decides what interest rates it should be, how much it should be. It should be going up or it should be going down. And Jerome Powell is the head of it, and he basically makes most decisions. Now, what happened was in March 2020, it happened lockdown, and the government had to take measures in order the economy shouldn't collapse. So the Feds decided to cut down interest rates to such low levels that it's not just it happens once in a lifetime, it happens like once in history. It was extremely low. We were able to get loans for very cheap, all kinds of loans. And the reason why it was done is because if people could get loans very easily, that helps to drive the whole economy. Now, this was supposed to be temporary for like 6 months or a year, but he ended up pulling it for 18 months for no good reason. Now, what happened was that after 12 months, the economy was doing amazing. Everything was back to normal. There was no reason to keep interest rates so low. And the problem keeping interest so low, first of all, it's impossible for the federal government to survive on such a low interest, because basically it means the government is loaning out money to banks. That they should be able to loan out money for very low interest. Now, the government is getting that money from loaning it from people selling bonds. Now, if they are not getting enough money, then they're losing money in every penny, or they're going and they're printing money, and that causes inflation. So to keep interest rates extremely low is impossible. It's going to cause bankruptcy of the government, so you have to get it up. So now what he did was he extended this low interest rate to extreme long time. It wasn't even supposed to be for a full year, but let's say it was a year. It was the maximum. It was supposed to keep it that way. And he kept it going for no goddamn reason. And that was part of the cause of the economy to boom like crazy and go in a very fast speed. And then now he realized that it's such a disaster, so decided he's going to start raising interest. Mortgage rates are so high. As of October 6th, it's 6.2%. You cannot get a mortgage for a house below 6.2%, as far as I checked. And everybody's struggling, and people are going to struggle way more as time will go by. Now, why do I call him a criminal? The question is, why didn't he start raising interest in January of 2021? And let's say he claimed January 2021 things were still a little bit whoopsie. So why didn't you raise interest by March, a year later? March of 2021 was 1 year later. Economy was doing amazing. There was no reason the world mortgages should be so high. Unemployment was very low, and he should have just bring it back up to the price where it was before he cut it down, or maybe even slow every month, but just started raising it. So if he would have done that, then the economy would have never gone like this, like crazy up. Things would have gone a little bit more normal, and it would have probably be a little recession, because there's a lot of other factors, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion that happened because of the lockdown, but it would have been more of a normal balanced thing. So I agree, we would have had a recession anyways, because things went up so high, it automatically comes a collapse. And when it comes to collapse, it gets worse than it was before. But at least the rise from the first place wouldn't have been so high. If it wouldn't have been so high, the rise anyways, then the collapse is not going to be so terrible. Then why in the world did Jerome Powell kept interest rates so low for such a long time? And it's not only that, because I was upset at that time also. Like, he kept on saying, I'm going to raise interest, and he's going to raise interest, and he never did until January 2022. So why did you keep on saying you're going to do it and you never did it? And why do you keep on keeping it low for? For what reason? And now he's saying that the economy is going too fast and we have to cope with inflation. So with raising interest, we're gonna stop inflation. Yeah, that's one of the ways you can stop inflation. If I'm gonna start explaining every detail of inflation, I could go on for I don't know how long. But to make it short, the main reason why inflation happens is because you're printing money. So you print a lot of money, and you end up sending that money to Ukraine and to Mexican illegal immigrants, I mean, it wasn't just him. I mean, working together with the president and Senate and Congress. So that's why inflation happened from the first place. That's the main cause of inflation. So if you want to cope with inflation, you go to the source, printing a lot of money, and stop printing so much money, and start collecting money from all the false loans, because the government gave out a lot of loans, and there was a lot of businesses who didn't have a right to take or took out illegal loans, or they didn't use the money for the proper reason. And then there were even churches who took the money who didn't have a right to take the money from the first place. So how about go collect all those monies and give those companies and congregations huge fines, and take that money and destroy it? That's how you end up making inflation to stop rising the way it is. That's how you cope with inflation. So why, yeah, interest is another factor. The fact that the economy is going in too fast speed, and you have to stop it 100%. Raising interest will help it balance it. But why raise it so high? Do you know how many people, because of interest went up to extremely high numbers, are going to lose houses? They're going to lose their houses because of that reason. A lot of people bought houses, let's say, on a big part on hard money loans, and they had their whole calculation of how they're going to pay the mortgages was, I'm going to buy the house, a year later I'm going to refinance it, and then I'm going to pay off my loan so I could keep a house, and then I'm going to have regular rates. So they bought a house a year ago. So a house going a year ago for $450, the mortgages is the same rate as buying a house now for $315,000. But the houses didn't go down so low. But the fact is, if a person needs to go and refinance his house, is the only way he could keep that house alive. He cannot do it right now, because right now he's going to have to pay a price that he cannot pay. And so go on. So people will just have to dump them houses in the market, houses that they just recently bought. And then in general, people are going to lose jobs. And Jerome Powell said it's a good thing. What do you mean it's a good thing to lose a job? How about let's take him and take away his job and take away his pension and all of his other pensions that he gets, and all the money that he stole in the past, which I believe he did. I'm not saying in fact he did it, but I just believe that a person like who could do this is probably a mugger. And we'll see then if he's going to be happy if people lose their jobs. Well, which kind of talk is that he has to make interest go up so employment can stop, so and hiring employment can stop? I mean, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. How about just let things be and let it correct itself? You created the disaster and you don't even know how to fix it because you are a disaster. It's a monster. So we need to start petitioning to fire Jerome Powell and make sure he doesn't get pension. Because usually when those people get fired, they get pension. No, he should get fired without pension. He's a monster. He's absolutely a monster. I hope you all survive the recession. Have a wonderful day.